Hey guys, we've been working a little bit with volume recently, and yesterday we learned about complex volume with composite figures that were made up of two rectangular prisms. So today we're going to look at a little example using Legos. Now, while I know Legos are not perfect unit cubes, this is what we're using, and we're just going to say this is one unit cube. Remember, a unit cube would have a 1 by 1 by 1 dimension. So that might be 1 inch by 1 inch by 1 inch, length, width, and height, or it might be 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter by 1 centimeter. And the Legos aren't perfect cubes. They have a longer side, but we're going to say this is one unit cube for the purpose of our video. I have Legos that are my unit cubes, but I also have a couple of these to help my figures stay together. And we can understand that a longer Lego would equal 2 unit cubes. So if you see any of these in my figures, just know that equals 2 unit cubes. I just had to use a couple of these to get my figures, my rectangular prisms, to stick together. Okay, so we know volume equals length times width times height. And yesterday we were looking at complex volume. So for example, if I just had this rectangular prism and I wanted to know how many unit cubes made up this rectangular prism, I could count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then this would be 5 and 6. The volume of this figure would be 6 unit cubes. But then yesterday we added a layer to our understanding with volume by making complex figures. So if I have something that looks like this would be 2 rectangular prisms together. So it's not a perfect rectangular prism. It has some holes and some gaps right here. And we can only use length times width times height to figure out the volume of a rectangular prism with no gaps. So I could not do 2 for my length and 2 for my width and 3 for my height. That would include this space here if I were looking at the whole rectangle. And I don't have any Legos here. I don't have any unit cubes here. So when you have a complex figure or a composite figure that would be made up of 2 rectangular prisms, you have to visualize slicing those into 2 separate parts. So if I took this figure and I sliced it into 2 pieces, if I cut it long ways like this and I sliced it into 2 separate parts, this would be figure A, and then this would be figure B. So I would first need to find the volume of figure A. Well, figure A was made up of 2 unit cubes. So the volume of A would be 2. Figure B is made up of 6 unit cubes. So to find my total volume, I would add the volume of figure A and the volume of figure B to get my total volume. So that would be 2 plus my 6 unit cubes here, and that would give me a total of 8 unit cubes that make up my complex figure. And I can see those and count those in this figure. So this would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 unit cubes make up that figure. Now, what if we have something that's a little harder to see, a little more complicated, and I have something like this figure? So you're going to practice, and there are going to be questions that pop up that ask you to answer the questions I am saying out loud. So be ready. You may want to get a piece of notebook paper or a whiteboard. Pause the video if you need that to write these down. So we're going to find the volume of this complex figure or composite figure. I first need to cut it into 2 rectangular prisms. So there are 2 ways I could do this. So this figure, I could cut it along this way and slice this top portion off, and I would have my top rectangular prism and then my bottom. Or I could slice the front off here, this end here, and I could take this long piece as my rectangular prism and then take this off and it be a different rectangular prism. Okay, for the purpose of this video, I'm going to slice the top off. So we talked about it's kind of like a cake. You can take your knife and slice that top portion of your cake off. and you have two rectangular prisms. So this is figure A. Write the volume down for figure A. I'm going to turn it so you can see all sides. How many unit cubes make up figure A? What's the volume of A? Then write down the volume of B. Okay, what's my volume of B? Remember, these would be 2. Okay, and then what is the total volume? A plus B, so the unit cubes that make up this plus the unit cubes that make up this would give me my total volume for my figure. Write that down or answer the question. That would be my total volume here. So you kind of have to visualize slicing that top rectangular prism off. Okay, all right, let's do one more. I have this figure, and if I look at this, it's kind of like an L. You've seen lots of these in our practice. I could slice here and cut off this portion and have a rectangular prism, and then I would still have this portion left. Or I could slice it here and take off this top portion. I would have the bottom left and the top portion. I'm going to make my break or my cut here. And then this is going to be figure A. So write down the volume of figure A. And then this is figure B. Write down the volume of figure B. How many unit cubes? And then to find the total volume, take the volume of figure A, add it to the volume of figure B, and that's going to be your total volume. That looks like this. If you need to pause the video so you can get a closer look at any of these, feel free to do that. And turn it so you can see all of the Legos. Okay? All right, great job. Remember, when we find the volume of a composite figure that's made of 2 rectangular prisms, you're going to decompose those. You're going to take them apart, find the volume of a 1 using length times width times height, or counting your unit cubes, finding the volume of the other one, and then adding those volumes together to find your total volume. Great work, guys.